The objective of this training module is to explain the definition of types of proponents, to provide guidance on the determination of proponency, and to explain what the responsibilities of a proponent are under the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment, or MCEA. This training module is comprised of the following sections: overview, definitions, types of proponents, what are the proponent's responsibilities, and frequently asked questions. Section 1 of the Environmental Assessment Act defines a proponent as a person who A. carries out or proposes to carry out an undertaking, or B. is the owner or person having charge, management, or control of an undertaking. Proponents of municipal class environmental assessment projects may be public, normally a municipality, private, such as a developer, or combined, where a group of public sector proponents or private sector proponents or public and private sector proponents jointly act as a proponent. To be clear, under the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment, there are no other public sector proponents that can use the class environmental assessment. Non-municipal proponents could act as a co-proponent with a municipality. Generally, all municipal activities are subject to requirements under the Environmental Assessment Act. Many of these activities are covered by the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment, which allows municipal proponents to follow a streamlined self-assessment class environmental assessment process to meet requirements under the Environmental Assessment Act for municipal infrastructure projects. Under Ontario Regulation 334, all municipalities may use the approved class environmental assessment process to meet Environmental Assessment Act requirements for certain municipal infrastructure activities. Public sector proponents include municipalities, Public Utilities Commission, and the Ontario Clean Water Agency. Under Ontario Regulation 345/93, Designation and Exemption, private sector developers are subject to requirements under the Environmental Assessment Act for specific activities covered by the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment. Works undertaken by private sector developers are exempt from requirements of the Environmental Assessment Act unless they meet the following criteria: are a Schedule C project under the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment and are providing the project for the residents of a municipality. Municipalities are encouraged to consider requiring developers to fully consider appropriate alternatives to the project and alternative methods of implementing the project, even if requirements under the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment are not triggered. To meet their obligations under the Environmental Assessment Act, the private sector can use the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment process. Private sector proponents are defined as developer of land other than land belonging to Her Majesty in right of Ontario, a public body, or a municipality. As discussed earlier, private sector proponents are only subject to requirements under the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment when carrying out a Schedule C project that is intended for the residents of a municipality. A number of municipalities and/or private sector developers may jointly undertake a project for their mutual benefits as co-proponents. All terms and conditions of the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment apply equally to each co-proponent. Municipalities and private sector developers may undertake a project for their mutual benefits but select one of the parties to be the lead proponent. Only the lead proponent shall be subject to the terms and conditions of this class environmental assessment. A municipality may act as a co-proponent with another government agency. As it is only municipal proponents, the Public Utilities Commission, and the Ontario Clean Water Agency that may use the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment process, a government agency could partner with a municipality to carry out municipal infrastructure works that were required for one of its projects. Under the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment, only municipalities, the Public Utilities Commission, and the Ontario Clean Water Agency are permitted to use the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment by themselves. Project proponents may change over time due to change of ownership, land may be sold, or infrastructure ownership may change from private to public, amalgamation of municipal boundaries, and project evolution from broad-scale plan to individual project. For example, phases 1 and 2 of a master plan may be completed by a municipality, and phases 3 and 4 of the specific projects identified therein may be completed by a different proponent. During the planning process, the proponent is responsible for compliance with the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment, determining the project schedule, ensuring that the planning and design process is easily traceable, customizing the environmental assessment to reflect the specific complexities and needs of a project, assessing the potential environmental effects of the project, and preparing and submitting required notices and documentation. The proponent is responsible for the following consultation requirements: determining the most suitable and effective means of consulting the public, government agencies, and Aboriginal communities, providing proper notification to interested persons about their legal right of review, preparing and submitting required notices and documentation, negotiation of and resolution of any issues, and respond to the Environmental Assessment Branch addressing issues raised in a Part 2 order request. During the implementation of a project, the proponent is responsible for implementing environmental provisions and mitigation measures identified in the environmental assessment, satisfying any conditions contained within a Part 2 order request denial, and obtaining other approvals and/or permits that may apply for the project. If a private sector proponent is planning an infrastructure project that after implementation will be assumed by the municipality, is the private sector proponent subject to the requirements of the Environmental Assessment Act? Under Ontario Regulation 345, private sector proponents only have requirements under the Environmental Assessment Act if they are carrying out an activity listed under Schedule C of the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment that is intended for the residents of a municipality. However, a municipality may require a private sector proponent follow the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment process.